What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Badly content. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the team that took me to Expert here in the Great League Remix. Really strong team, all positive sets except for 1, 2, 3 that knocked me down just a little bit, but it didn't keep me from going as we were able to hit Expert on stream with this team. Now, I'm going to go through the team. I'm going to do it a little differently with the intro, so let me know in the comments if you like the way that I do this. I had a thought, just want to try it out. Let me know if you like it. On the lead here, we're going to start with Empoleon, and then we're going to just go through the team kind of one at a time, kind of break down the team. That's how this works. So Empoleon in the lead, very strong lead, has a very good coverage between Hydro Cannon and Drill Peck. The Steel Wing fast move pressure is really good, and it also does very well into things like Gligar and Mantine and Carbink and things. I was seeing a lot of trainers use those Pokemon in the Great League Remix, so I figured that Empoleon was probably a good call in the lead. And also, it has the ability to use that Drill Peck to hit the Poliwraths, which is really its hardest counter. And again, Hydro Cannon hits just about everything else. The second Pokemon on the team we're going to be using today is the Giratina Origin that I have for Great League. If you don't have a Giratina, which I completely understand if you don't, not everybody does, I would say that Cofagrigus is probably the best alternative here. If not, maybe something like Sableye or Dragonite also works as well here, depending on how you prefer. But Cofagrigus has very similar coverages and also very bulky compared to most other ghosts in the format, so very good. Now, in this team, I also like to use a Goodra Save Swap. I was using Sableye for a while, and after a while, I just got tired of seeing so many Obstagoon leads, which kept destroying my face. So I swapped out to Goodra, and we're actually going to see in this set here of battles, this first set, as we get into these games here, we're going to start off with this Mantine lead, and we're going to be running the Sableye on the team. Now, the whole point of this team here is to use Sableye or Goodra to draw out the hardest answer to what would be to Giratina, right? So like a Mandibuzz or a normal type, right? Or anything like a dragon, another dragon, a fairy type, things like that. And then Empoleon typically does very well into those things. Like, so for example, we use the Goodra or the Sableye, we're going to draw out that Carbink. We're going to draw out the Alolan Ninetales. We're going to draw out something like that. Empoleon farms that down and has energy, and energy on Empoleon is extremely strong. So this team is very synergistic, and I like it a lot for that reason. So in this team, in this particular game, we get a Mantine lead, and like I said, you know, we have things that are like, you know, the Steelix, the Mantine, the Gligar, and other dragons as well. Like, Empoleon is very, very good into almost everything in this meta. And anything that it gets kind of beat by, which you're going to talk about things like Obstagoon, Defense Deoxys, right? Counter users, Poliwrath, all of its moves have the ability to hit those things back for at least neutral or super effective damage, making it very good in the lead if you can give it some farm. There were some games that I just won outright because I lost the switch, but I farmed Empoleon, and then I lost, like, my Giratina got hard countered, and then I just got some more farm on the Empoleon and won the game that way. Now, Poliwrath is definitely a pain in this meta. I was trying specifically to have two things in the back to beat it, hence the Sableye. The opponent here does have the Poliwrath. They go for the Icy Wind. If it's a non-shadow Poliwrath, I'm typically not going to shield the Icy Wind. But if it's a shadow, it does a little bit more damage than I'd like, so I will end up usually shielding that. Now, I have a Drill Peck banked on my Empoleon, so all I need to do here is get the other shield off of this opponent's Poliwrath. Because they shielded my Ominous Wind, I now just go for a Shadow Ball, get that shield, and swap in my Empoleon. The switch timer's coming up already. That's all I have to do here. I have the Drill Peck loaded. I just drop in Empoleon, go for that Drill Peck, what we're going to do right here. We're going to take out the Poliwrath, which is why I love Empoleon so much, because that Drill Peck allows it to hit almost all of its fighting answers, and it's really, really nice. Good game to the opponent here. Getting into the next game, we are still running the Sableye, and this is actually the game that made me stop running Sableye, because this is, I think, the third Obstagoon that I saw in the lead, and every time it was just a big pain. But also the thing that I noted was that almost all of the Pokemon in the back of these teams, specifically this one as well, Goodra was a really strong answer to, and it was like things like Gligar and you know, Mantine, things like that, things that beat like the fighters. So Goodra does very well into the back lines of these Obstagoon teams. So that was my way of trying to try and beat some of these teams. So we're gonna see Sableye get a shield here, thankfully, with the foul play. That's the least I could ask for. I know that's a very bad matchup, but I'm able to get in there. Now we're gonna go for a farm down with the Empoleon, and I'm gonna have to take at least a charge move. And they have Cross Chop, which is not good. I was kind of hoping they'd just go for Night Slash. I'm just going to let it go. Again, my main strategy here is use Sableye to do the baiting, and then come in with Giratina with shield advantage and try to sweep with it. Now, my opponent has a Giratina of their own. Very, very weak to Charm. No respect for Alolan Ninetales here at all. Opponent gonna go for the Ominous Wind. Now all they have to do is send in the Gligar. I have to over farm here in order to have a move ready for the Giratina. But the thing is that because my Empoleon had to tank that other move, I basically was at a loss as soon as that happened. Like, Obstagoon, unfortunately, by itself, made this game a loss, because if I was in a position where I didn't have to put everything I had into the Obstagoon, I would have won. But game well played by the opponent. And we're going to get into the next one. Mantine, another Mantine lead. There was a lot of flying leads. Maybe that's why the team worked so well. But there were quite a lot of flying leads, and a lot of them were core broken by Empoleon quite a bit. Now, with Mantine leads, what I like to do is I like to stay in for a while. Eventually, I'm going to swap out. I want to check and see if they have Water Pulse or Ice Beam. They're going to build up to a big move, and they're going to throw Water Pulse if they have it. If they have Ice Beam, they're going to throw Aerial Ace. So now, I have to be cautious about what I'm doing with my dragons. And this is just one of the strategies. I don't know if we're going to cover all of them in the video, but in my Discord server, which you can get access to, I know, yawn, paywall, whatever, it helps me support my family. That's my justification. So we are going to go ahead and catch a move here on the Goodra here, but the Discord, I usually put my teams in. Like, this team's been in the Discord since Wednesday. But at the same time as well, I'm going to have strategies on how to play most of the common and difficult leads, as well as other things that are like, you know, meta guides, early access to my videos, things like that. So if that's of any value, as well as an amazing community that battles and helps each other get better together, just check it out. Links in the description. Patreon and the YouTube membership, both will get you in there. That's enough of that. So we get the Ferrothorn in the back. Now, this is the first game with the Goodra, and I'm like, of course, there's a Ferrothorn in the back. Why not? This is a difficult thing to deal with. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in with my Empoleon, and I'm going to go for the Drill Peck for some chip damage, hopefully even get a shield. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap into my Giratina here in order to try and absorb a Power Whip or a Thunder. If they have Flash Cannon, then this is awkward, but almost all of them are going to be packing Power Whip and Thunder. So this now allows me to get into this Gligar with some energy, and I can just launch Shadow Balls. I have 2 shields here. I don't need to use them on the Ferrothorn, so I'm going to just use them on this Gligar, and I'm going to shield everything that they throw. They don't even, they over-farm by too much and they let me get to a second Shadow Ball. They probably lost track of my energy. The Shadow Ball is going to do a ton of damage. This is a non-Shadow Gligar, so it will live. The Shadow would have gotten pretty much taken out from that range. But the opponent knows they're going to need 2 moves here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shield this one, because I'm counting. I believe they're at 13, so they should need 2 more, but I lose. I doubt my own counts, because there's so many times while I'm streaming that I just lose count. But I'm going to be able to get this Drill Peck off against the Ferrothorn. That's going to take this thing out, and I just need to be able to get enough energy, or enough, not even energy, but just damage on this Mantine before it gets to a move. And they threw right when they had the move, so they were out of energy and they conceded, and that is a good game, well played. Getting into the next battle, the core breakingest core breaker that ever core broke me. A Dedenne. Now, here's the thing, okay? I'm going to stay in. I'm going to farm up the energy the opponent does not throw. I was hoping to catch. And they come in with a Frostlass, making it even more awkward. But because they swapped a little bit late, I'm going to be able to get to an Aqua Tail and then some before they can get to a move here. So now they're going to be able to get to a move, but the thing is that they're forced to throw it right away. This is a prime farm down range for Empoleon to get some more energy. Now, the opponent had about 8 Thunder Shocks, I believe. It was 8 or 9, maybe even 10. Like I said, I don't even. I'm past the battles and I wasn't counting. But I know they've got about 2 moves, and so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait and see what they bring in. If it's the Dedenne, I'm going to go for a Hydro Cannon here, or at least I thought I was. They actually throw before I can really react, so I'm just going to say, let's take a Discharge and just see how much damage it's going to do, just because we want to know. Now, I throw the Hydro Cannon right away here. We're going to get a shield. I had a feeling that it wouldn't be enough to KO, but I knew it was going to do quite a bit. I was hoping that I was going to be left in the red, and thankfully, my for science experiment worked out. Now, my opponent goes for the Discharge bait here. I'm going to go for the Ominous Wind. I'm going to try and see if they want to shield this. If they shield this, then I know that whatever's in the back does not like Giratina, and I was approximating their energy here. I figured they're probably going to go for a Discharge bait because they can't store back-to-back play roughs, and thankfully we get the call correct. Now they come in with Ferrothorn, and the win condition is clear. Unless they have Flash Cannon, and even if they have Flash Cannon, we should, well, I don't know, not at this range. Even if they have Flash Cannon, but they don't build up to it, they're just going to go for Power Whip, and I know I saved the shield for Dedenne. If they had built up to the Flash Cannon, I would have been in a position where I think I probably would have had to shield it. The Dedenne is so low that I just need one Shadow Claw to take it out. I don't need a charge move. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go for the Ominous Wind, shield once, go for the Shadow Claw farm down, but the opponent knows it's over, and they just let the move go. So after a well-played game, we see an amazing lead, and I just love seeing these. I just love it. The thing with these is you absolutely have to get switch advantage. I cannot let this anywhere near either of my backline Pokemon, so I stay in. I go for a Hydro Cannon on the Mandibuzz. My goodness, I had a stroke. Going for the I do these all in one take, so I'm sorry. My brain just like shut off for a minute. We're going to swap in with the Goodra to the Mandibuzz after dealing a Hydro Cannon, and that's going to allow us, even though we have to shield once, this is going to allow us to get switched or even battle the opponent for shields. Now, I throw on bad timing there. I was trying to throw one before their move came in, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to time it correctly. But even though we are going to be down a shield, the Ninetales really does not put any pressure on my Empoleon as far as any damage whatsoever. So even though I'm down a shield, as long as Empoleon isn't going to get slapped around by a Poliwrath or something, which we've got the Giratina for at this point, we're good. And look, it's a Poliwrath. Now I'm going to come in with my Giratina here. The thing is, the opponent has a Poliwrath that's not Shadow, so this I can safely no shield. The Icy Wind gets me down to about 45–40%. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go for the Ominous Wind. The opponent knows, they know that Poliwrath has to be the one to finish this game, so they're going to put the shields into it, and I'm kind of expecting that. And for once in a blue moon, I'm graced with a boost, which is nice to help offset that Icy Wind debuff. Now, I'm going to go for an Ominous Wind here once again, and I need to try and get to the Shadow Ball before the opponent can get to a move. Now, we are going to be able to get to an Ominous Wind here. I chickened out. I thought that they were going to get to the Icy Wind, but it turns out in two more counters, they wouldn't have been there. So they're going to over farm now, try to farm me down. But because they know that I'm about to get to an Ominous Wind, they're going to throw the energy. And now I just need to be able to farm down with Empoleon and get to a move. The opponent's not able to get to another charge move, which is huge. And they know it's over. And look at how much those Steel Wings do. I love it. Good game here. We got a 4-1 set getting off on this video here. We're going to get to the expert rank after we go for the catch here. Gonna get it. Claim those ranked rewards, Felrose. Get them. Come on. What are you stalling for? Hitting 2768 on the 4-1, getting to expert. And then we're going to roll into another set just to show the team off a little bit more, because this is a very strong team. I actually saw Hilda Clash, very, very talented battler here in the content sphere recently, turning into a content creator. Go check them out, by the way. Hilda Clash, very, very good content and very skilled battler, and they actually hit legend with the Empoleon Giratina core running an Alolan Shadow Ninetales in the back instead of a Goodra. I go for a catch here, and every time I've done this, it's failed. I keep trying to hopefully catch a Hydro Cannon, but every time it fails. So, opponent's going to go for the Drill Peck here. They have another Drill Peck loaded, and I have to be mindful of this. I try to go for the Thunder Punch, but the Dragonite is going to hit me too hard. Now, I'm going to go for the Aqua Tail. The opponent shields it, which is huge. I don't know how much damage exactly the Thunder Punch does, but they wanted enough HP to be able to get to a superpower and then some possibly. So I'm going to come in with my Empoleon, and we're going to fire off the Drill Peck right away, and they don't remember how much energy I have. This is a trainer that is regularly in my stream chat, and they came in and said they lost track of the energy on the Empoleon. I'm going to let this go. Once again, we got both shields from the opponent. What more could I ask for? If they have a Mandibuzz in the back, then so be it. But they have a Gligar, and that is the key to victory now. I'm going to overfarm by a bit. I've got two shields. They're going to bait me, and I know it, but I don't care. We're going to go for the Shadow Ball here. That's going to do a ton of damage to Shadow Gligar, and I'm actually going to be able to farm this thing all the way down. The opponent throws just as they get to that maybe back-to-back Aerial Aces, but that last Shadow Claw is going to take them out. I'm able to save his shield because of it, and now we're only one away from the Shadow Ball. This is a assured win here. Going for that Shadow Ball, going to take out the Empoleon. It's going to be a good game. Well played to the opponent. Very, very fun team. Very similar to mine, actually, with the Empoleon lead here and a Dragon in the back. But taking out Empoleon for the win there. Getting one win over Expert. Getting into the next game after the game decided to glitch out and crash on me, and we get a Shadow Victory Bell on the lead. This is not really what I want to see. And I'm like, they have a grass, and you can almost assume almost every grass type in the lead is going to have a Carbink in the back. So I'm glad to lure this out here. It's fine. What I want to do here is I want to just get as much damage as I can to get this kind of low. I want to be able to get to a drill peck after a farm down, ideally. So the opponent goes for the Rock Slide, and they're going to look to farm me down at this point. So we're going to go for one more Aqua Tail, but at this point, I have to see how much damage the Aqua Tail does here. Aqua Tail will not be enough to put this Carbink into any range where it needs to shield. It can let this go. So I actually purposefully don't throw my Aqua Tail to get more farm out of the Empoleon here. So the opponent's going to go for a Rock Slide, and then they come in with Mandibuzz. And here's the problem. Obviously, I can't swap in my Giratina here. Giratina's looking good to sweep this endgame as the opponent runs out of energy on the Carbink. I just need to get rid of the Mandibuzz. A Dark Pulse does about half HP. The problem is that my opponent only needs 3 Dark Pulses to knock me out, whereas I would have needed 4 Hydro Cannons to knock out. So I already know going into this that because they need fewer moves than I do, there's no way that I'm going to be able to take this out. So I decide to no shield and hope that it's an Aerial Ace bait, and it's not. The opponent goes for the Dark Pulse, and now I'm forced to try and finish this off with Giratina. The opponent's team in general would not do well against Giratina, but they are going to be able to get to, what was that, almost 5 Snarls here. So they're going to go for a move. I no shield. The only way that I could possibly win this game is calling an Aerial Ace here, and they go for the Aerial Ace. That's a win condition that is opened up, and they have another move, so now I have to overfarm by a little bit. I need to be able to land a Shadow Ball against the Victory Bell and the Carbink, and with the health I have, I should be able to do it, but I overfarmed by one too many. If I had thrown the Ominous Wind there, I would have been able to take out the Mandibuzz most likely, and then at that point I had an actual shot at potentially winning this game. My HP was super low. It would have been very close. Perhaps there's no way that I win this game anyway, but the opponent's going to be able to take me out here, and that's a good game. Shame on them for running Carbink and Victory Bell Core. Speaking of Carbink, there's a Carbink on the lead in this next game, and we're going to see a Ferrothorn on the lead. Now, what I like to do here is I'm going to go for the Drill Peck just for some extra farm. I should have probably just come straight in with the Giratina, but I figure I might as well do some chip damage here, maybe so like I can get an Ominous Wind and farm down. I just need to keep Goodra away from this, and also I can't really put it on the Carbink. This opponent has the safe swap Ferrothorn with Flash Cannon, and that is going to be a lot of damage. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball for the assured KO, and they were throwing with really not great timing, so I'm assuming they're just going to throw the move when they get it. They throw with me on charge attack priority, so we're going to be able to block this Power Whip because they shielded first. I'm totally fine with that, and I'm going to go ahead and throw on charge attack priority again. The opponent goes and catches on their Carbink, which is an interesting play here. Now I'm going to try to swap out. I need to get into my Empoleon here, and they brought the Carbink in. I'm just going to fully farm this thing all the way down. The opponent's going to throw a move. I'm fine with it. They're going to go ahead and just throw that move. Now, this is not a winning strategy. If you safe swap and you have a very hard lead loss like this where the opponent can fully farm your Pokemon down, you should never look to give up switch advantage just for the sake of trying to lure it back out. The amount of energy I come out of in this game is insane. The Superior comes in now, and the game is over. Goodra can resist the Frenzy Plant. Doesn't take very much. The opponent's giving up their final shield. I'm going to go for one final Drill Peck, and remember, I have a Shadow Ball loaded on my Giratina. So in this case, if the opponent had just let their Ferrothorn go, they could have brought the Carbink in. It would have still been locked on to my Empoleon, but at least they would have been able to swap out and try to sweep the game with the Superior. Now, Superior doesn't really have a winning matchup into my Goodra, and while they may have lost anyway, it would have been a better path to possible victory. Good game, though. Getting into the next game, we have a very bad lead here, and it's going to be against Deoxys. We're going to safe swap into the Goodra. This is one of those games where I would have liked to have the save line and make them not want to throw this Psycho Boost, but I have to go for the shield here, and they're going to go for the Psycho Boost. Because I want switch advantage if I can possibly get it. That's why I've shielded. Now, they're going to come in with a Sableye, and in hindsight, yeah, I probably would have preferred not to shield that. But in the at the end of everything, though, what's going to end up happening here is we're going to go for another Aqua Tail, and what ends up happening to me is they actually no shield, so I'm like, okay, I could fight for switch here. but I thought the opponent has back-to-back moves here, so I'm going to let this go because I know I'm going to end up losing Switch anyway if they have back-to-back, but it turns out they don't, or they don't throw on purpose here, which is really baffling. Now I'm kind of mad at myself, to be honest, because I'm like, well, shoot, if all I had to do was, yeah, I lose this game. Mandibuzz comes in and I'm done. That's it, man. Good game. But as far as that goes, like if they had the back-to-back moves, it doesn't matter if Ice Shield because the Dragon Breath probably wouldn't have been enough. Now we hit an Empoleon lead once again in this final game, and I'm going to play it much the same way that I played it before. I'm going to go for a Hydro Cannon pretty close to when I get it, if not right away, because most trainers are going to overfarm. Almost every single one that I faced with this team in the Empoleon mirrors, they overfarmed almost to 2. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to once again swap to catch on Goodra and fail miserably. The opponent saves the energy, comes in with an Alolan Ninetales, and things are looking pretty dicey here. Because my Empoleon has very little HP, this could be dangerous. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go for Thunder Punch, do some chip damage, and then I'm going to wait the clock out entirely so that when I come back in, the opponent won't be able to lock something up against whatever I have. Now, this is just a Weather Ball. I know I can live this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just let it go. And have a little HP. We're going to, once again, saving 2 shields for the Empoleon. The opponent comes in with a Poliwrath, and thankfully, for some reason, they don't get a fast move through. Which is fine with me, because now I can swap into my Giratina, and I have shield advantage. And the opponent's Empoleon, I believe, has a move, or no, did they throw it? At this point, I remembered when I was playing the game, and I can't remember as I'm the one doing the shoutcast, but the opponent tries to call a bait and lets the Shadow Ball through. When I have 2 shields like this, I can just go straight for the Shadow Ball. The opponent's Drill Peck here, not going to do very much. They did have a move. See, I did remember it correctly. They had a move. I'm going to be able to farm them down here, and the opponent knows it. They're going to go ahead and resign the game, and that's going to be a good game well played. We had a really positive day with this team. I think I gained close to 80 or so points overall. No, it was definitely 100 points because I started at 2680 something. So very strong team, and again, if you don't have the Giratina, you can run the Cofagrigus, and if you want to, you can also use like a Sableye Safe Swap or something like that. But again, let me know in the comments what you thought about the intro, if you thought that was a better way to kind of pace it, break it down, and kind of unveil the team as we go, or if you like just seeing the team in general. Either way, let me know in the comments, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.